I'm Kristen.
And I'm Maddie.
We're sisters and heavy readers.
Join us every single week to talk stories, interview authors, and collab with fellow book nerds.
Welcome to the Chris and Mad Show.
Welcome to the show, you guys. Today we are so excited and honored because we are joined by Adalyn Grace, the author of these beautiful books right here. Adalyn is the #1 New York Times, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, International, and IndieBound bestselling author of this series right here, Belladonna, and All the Stars and Teeth duology, which we found out about when we were today years old. I don't know how we didn't know about your backlist, but now we have a duology that we need to read immediately because we love this so much. So thank you so much for coming today. We're so honored that you're here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And don't worry about it. Stars and Teeth was a COVID book. It came out like 3 weeks before bookstores shut down, so that's why nobody knows about it.
Oh, okay.
That's really funny.
Like,
a COVID book.
Wait, what? It was like, how did this not exist? The covers are beautiful again. And I mean, we have to, for those who are watching with your eyeballs, the covers of the Belladonna series, these are the UK covers. They make us so happy and they totally fit the beautiful words that are inside. So if you ever listened to this on audio or read it on your Kindle, we highly recommend that you purchase the physical copies because they're gorgeous.
Oh, they're stunning. It's really hard for me to choose though because I love the UK, but I also love my US editions. I guess why choose? Just have
Why
both,
choose?
right?
We actually, Adalyn, this is so fun that we're finally meeting you for real because everyone knows how much we love your books. And one of our followers actually met you at one of your signings and got your books signed for us and then mailed them to us. And like when you were right before Wisteria came out, you had like the little Wisteria pins and she sent them to us. So it's like everyone knows, like vicariously, we have been loved by you but we've never met you.
Yeah, I remember signing those.
Oh, yeah. Aw, that's so cool. That's crazy because you sign, I'm sure, a lot of books. Like this has got to be just the craziest whirlwind for you.
Yeah, but like if somebody is making videos talking about Belladonna, okay, I don't know if I should be even admitting this. But
Do
we're
it.
supposed to like stay off of, reader spaces. And I do. I don't ever comment or anything. But if people are like making videos and they enjoy the book, I'll listen to them and I recognize people.
Oh, that's so cool. So you guys heard it here first. Start doing reviews of Belladonna and Adalyn will watch your face.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you're doing well. We had to reschedule this because you were not feeling well, but how are you doing now? Doing good?
I'm good. Yeah, much better. When I get sick for like a long time, but I'm healing.
Okay. Oh, poor thing. Okay, well, we like to start off every single podcast in kind of a funky way. We like to play 2 truths and a lie because we're children. So have you thought of some for us?
Yes. Okay. The truth was like really hard for me to come up with, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Okay, we'll guess then.
It's because you're a good storyteller. So you're just probably good at the lies part.
All right, we will see. Okay. I first started writing while role-playing on Neopets. I worked production on Disney for Frozen. And I once was in the same hotel room as Stephanie Meyer.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Those are really out there. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What do you think?
I know. I just feel like I know that she's done some backstage work in TV and movies. I don't know if it was Frozen though.
Yeah, that is oddly specific.
Yeah, but I know this is in her lore. We need to ask more about this later. Okay, and then once in the same hotel as Stephanie Meyer.
Same hotel room.
Oh,
whoa.
In the same room.
Dang. Mm-hmm. I want all of these to be true.
Are all of these true or are all of these lies?
Well, she's like, gotcha, they're all lies.
I'll follow your lead on this one. I feel like I gullibly believe all of these.
Yes, I feel like I could believe them all. I'm going to say it wasn't Frozen, that it was something else you worked on. I'm going to say that's your lie.
It is my lie. Yes, it was not Frozen, and it was not Disney. It was Nickelodeon, Avatar, or not Avatar, but the sequel, Legend of Korra.
Very cool.
Okay, we need to hear all about this for a second. Let's just get that lore out of the way. So you worked with Nickelodeon on an animated series.
When I was 18, I interned at Nickelodeon on The Legend of Korra for books, the end of book 2, all of book 3, and then the very beginning of book 4. I did like they didn't have a production assistant, so I was basically like a production assistant for the show.
Oh my gosh. Was there any part of you that was like, this is my world? Like, I never want to leave television? Or did it like seal the deal? Like, I need to get out of this world?
No, I love animation. So a couple years ago, I think it was like 2022 maybe. I worked with a different like co-writer and I helped like create a show and pitch it and we sold it to Disney actually. So I still have like a foot in that world and I really, really love animation, but like writing books is still like my number one. But I do think that like I'll continue to kind of poke away in that world. I just really love it.
Would you ever want to sell the rights to your stories for film adaptation?
Yeah, so there was one point where actually we had a producer and an actress attached for Belladonna, and we were interviewing screenwriters, and it was really bad.
Oh
Um,
no.
the one that they found, I won't get like too specific, but he was like a white dude who was trying to check the boxes of like I'm inclusive. So he made the love interest of Belladonna, without getting too spoilery, he made the love interest gay and took out the romance. And I
Oh,
was like, this is not the story.
it's actually not the plot.
It's actually
So,
pretty important that he remains the love interest. So,
wow.
No, thank
yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah, so I would
Wow.
be open to selling it, but like I'm being very particular while I am able to be, because once those rights are like officially sold, I lose control. So, and then
Oh,
you end up in a situation like that where they completely change the core elements of the story, and then your readers are so angry about it, and I
Right.
don't want to end up there. So
we
I'm trying to be
appreciate
really
that.
careful about it.
Good job. We appreciate
Thank
this
you.
very much.
Well, what we were talking about before this interview is just how much like the things that are core to your story that we love is that it feels like Jane Eyre and it feels like The Secret Garden. It's got like this very like gothic dark girl that we just were raised on.
Yeah.
We eat that shit up. We love it. What like inspired you to choose this setting and to make this story?
Yeah, Belladonna is one of those weird ones that just like it kind of came together, but it was over a long period of time. So I first had the idea for the story when I was working in live theater and I was working on the show The Secret Garden. I have never read The Secret Garden. I only know the stage adaptation. And I remember when you were working on a show, I was a techie and I did lights for the show. So I was always watching the show up in the rafters above the audience where nobody ever knows you are. And I remember 30 shows in or something, just being super bored and listening to the ghosts sing on the stage and having this idea, like when I looked down at the audience, of like, what would happen if I fell right now during the middle of the show? Like, would I die? Would I haunt the theater? Like, would I turn into a ghost? And it was like a weird inkling of an idea while these ghosts are singing on stage. And I just couldn't get that kind of like idea out of my mind. But I tried writing Belladonna as a middle grade first.
Okay.
I tried not having death as the romantic interest because I told a friend about the idea. And she's like, you're not going to personify death, right? Like that's so cliche. And I was like, no, you're right. That's so cliche. I would never do
It's
that.
everything. It's
It's my
everything to
favorite
me.
part. Yeah, it's my favorite part of the story. But it wasn't until COVID hit and All the Stars and Teeth had just come out. And I realized that, the debut book that comes out, and you have all these big hopes and dreams, and then bookstores shut down. And I'm like, okay, I control nothing in this industry except what I'm working on and what I'm writing and what I put out. So let me make sure that I love that part of it. So I went back and I was like, I do really want to have the romance with death. Like, that's one of my favorite parts of the story. So let me just lean into that. And then I kind of found the actual core piece that was missing from the story and very quickly wrote Belladonna after that.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a fun concept that I think transcends like any just like YA or new adult. Like I just think a reader of any age could enjoy it. I did do this story with my almost 13-year-old daughter and we did it on audio while doing puzzles together. This is like our little mommy daughter hobby.
Oh, fun.
And in every single book, there'd be a part where I'd grab her AirPod that she had, and I said, "Oh, this part's for mommy," and I'd put it in, because she's pretty young, but she is so obsessed with you. I was like,
No.
what could I tell Adalyn Grace or ask her for you? Because she's just like dying to meet you. And I said, what's your question? She's like, just ask her to write more books. Just say, please write more. So you have like a huge fan in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Let me tell you. It's
Thank
just,
you.
it's good for all ages. Just, it's incredible.
I think it's so interesting that you began it as a middle grade book and then wrote it the way you wanted to, because there is this kind of ageless quality to the book. It's really interesting to us that it's shelved with YA because parts of it feel so timeless and adult to us theme wise, but then there are these like universal accessible points where like like my 12-year-old niece is obsessed. And I think what I love to, just to paint you a picture of my niece, is the things she's a total tomboy. She loves Billie Eilish. She just went to her first high school dance and did not wear a dress. She wanted to wear pants. Like she's no makeup. She's a reader. She's just like, I would say like not like a girly girl, but like this for her makes her she feels seen in the main characters. Like I don't know, there's something I think about like more, maybe it is the Gothic tone, or maybe it's just how you wrote like Signa. I don't know. She really identifies with her. And I think that's where you've written a story that's accessible for lots of people and it feels very universal.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think, when I was writing Signa, a core piece of her character, I feel like, is what a lot of women go through in particular, where it's like they are told by society to behave a certain way, and that is the norm, and that's what they should do. And her entire character journey is trying to be that person that society wants her to be because she thinks it's going to give her the best life possible, and then being challenged of who she actually wants to be and trying to become that person and learning to like reject societal norms. So I feel like a lot of us kind of have that experience.
Yeah.
So thank you
Well,
very much.
I think that we maybe all like re-experience that experience at different times in your life. For our niece, like, or Kristen's daughter, like in her coming into womanhood or her early womanhood, that's something she's experiencing. I think for women, just kind of learning their adult identity, that's something we go through. I think when you become a mother, like for Kristen and I becoming moms, is that same thing of like, what's a mom supposed to be and what do mothers look like? And then it's just embracing, instead, just like whoever it is you are, that's who you need to show up as. Like being authentic is probably what the world needs you to be. And that's at the heart of book one for sure.
Love
Yeah,
it.
thank
So
you so much. I appreciate that. And new adult wasn't even a thing when I wrote Belladonna. Like it's wild how quickly and how quickly the romantasy boom has happened too, to make a lot of like the young adult books kind of skew older. I don't
Yeah.
think it happened until Foxglove was coming out. Like right after Belladonna, we had that romantasy boom, the new adult market coming back. So I kind of feel like maybe this would have been classified in that market had it existed, but it
mhm.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it could. And I think as you print new editions, they might shelve it
I
differently
wonder.
without you
They do in
even
the UK.
changing.
It's
Okay.
it's shelved in YA and adult in the UK.
Okay. That
Okay.
makes much more sense to me. Yeah, that makes much more
Yeah,
sense.
because it's so when people are like, "You guys are 2 adult women," and you're like, keep recommending this series, we're like, "Well, here's the deal, like,
It
we're adults and it's perfect for us, so, like, put it in whatever category you want.
Yeah,
It's just great."
they're just not shelving it correctly is what we think. But as we were saying, it does still appeal to a younger audience, I think, if they're of a certain maturity level and if they're interested in exploring those themes of like identity and coming into yourself. That
Mhm.
I think that's at the heart of the story, even maybe more than the romance. So we talked a little bit about Signa and her journey, but we wanted to talk about your character voices. And we're trying so hard to avoid spoilers, but this is a little bit getting into Foxglove. But we feel like Signa has such an individual voice. Death definitely has his own voice and presence, and then Fate and Blythe. So, can you talk about the characters and how you found them, or maybe just writing in general, how you find the voices of characters and how you distinguish them from each other?
Yeah, so Signa, it took a second to figure her out. I remember in the very early versions of like the first chapter, she was more of this like kind of spunky detective character, and that just didn't work. Like it didn't work for me. It didn't feel right to her. It's weird because I'm working on a different book right now. I'm working on The Wretched Divine, and characters always kind of usually come last for me. And that is very much happening right now in the book that I'm drafting, where it's like I feel like I know the archetype of the character and like a skeleton of them, but I don't fully know who they are until I finish the first drafts and then I edit to really like flesh them out. Belladonna wasn't quite like that. Signa was pretty much Signa from a very early time. Death's voice was very quick for me. I knew that I wanted like a softer side of Death, but to still have that like scary potential too. Fate was originally inspired by a mix of like Klaus Mikkelsen from the Vampire Diaries meets Hal Pendragon from Hell's Moving Castle. But then as soon as he got on the page, I was like, okay, I need to make some tweaks here because I like you a lot more than I expected to. So let's maybe tone some of the villain
Yeah.
energy down. And then Blythe was immediate. She is my favorite character I've ever written because her voice just comes so easily.
Mm.
She's got such a spunk and an attitude and says like whatever comes to her mind. There's no filter. So I don't have to like I don't know, I don't have to edit her, be like easy with her. Like it's just whatever she thinks goes on the page and she's so much fun to write.
Ugh, I feel like you can tell. I feel like you can tell you have so much fun writing her. I feel like Blythe very much I like is more like Kristen and Signa is more like me. But I mean, there's parts of us in both of them. But it's so fun to see how their voices are different and yet how they're friends because it feels so similar to our relationship. And then
Yeah.
I love how you wrote the men too because I think it's interesting that you made fate more villainous feeling than death, and it's such a kind of turning it on your turning the expectations on their head.
That's so
Love
true.
that. But I think fate is my favorite character to read. I love them all dearly, but I feel like you had so much fun with fate, and he does
Mhm.
contain layers and multitudes like you're saying. Like it's clear he evolved for you because he does start out on this funky note, and then you just keep discovering more layers to him, and
Mm.
that's so fun.
He is yeah, he's one of my favorites to write. You're right. I love nothing more because he's a very much like a strutting peacock character. He has a massive ego,
Yeah.
which is so fun to write when like there's another character who's bringing that ego down, who's just constantly like, "You're not as cool as you think you are. Like, calm
Yeah.
down." And Blythe does that a lot. And Death to some extent too. So it's really fun to have that kind of like banter and yeah, I love him. He's been so much fun.
And you did so much with the setting too
Yes.
that
Whoa.
we have to talk about.
Yeah, we have to get into setting. And I want to talk about setting and I want to talk about plot because I always wonder this, and I think every author does it differently. You have an awesome plot. I feel like you can read each book in its entirety and you feel like this sense of conclusion, not like this cliffhanger that you like literally can't sleep with, but it's like I can enjoy each one through time and pick up any one. And I don't know, it just like was fleshed out so beautifully. Did you have that plan originally or did you kind of like build as you went?
I do outline really heavily. But again, so much of it is edits. Like I knew the story, I had the outline, I had all of the like suspects except for one. One was created in edits. But it's just like I know the story, and then when I go back, I can leave myself more red herrings to pretend like I am really great at my job and did it in like one go. But no, it's so much going back and reading. And especially with this book, it was really tough because the romance is as important as the mystery, which is as important as the character arcs, is as important as the historical element and the setting, like you said. So all of these different pieces really have to feel equal and whole and fleshed out. And that did take a lot of going back and adding in and revising. Belladonna's setting, I don't know what happened with that book. Like, I wrote that during October and I was very dramatic about it, where I would open up my windows and I would sit by the window and light a fall candle and have the breeze come in. And I scared myself a couple nights writing some of like the darker garden scenes. But that, I don't know, it just came so naturally. And it's funny because I'm working on this book right now and there's like no setting. And I'm like, where did that go? I have to like fix this. So it's just some books it happens more naturally in. I feel like for Belladonna, the setting is a huge part of the story because it
Yeah.
adds to the eeriness, it adds to the gothicness, and to get you like a little bit scared. The ghosts just fit in more naturally.
Mhm.
Where like what I'm working on right now is a lot more action, and the setting does still matter, but it kind of takes a back seat to
Okay.
more of the action. So it just depends on the story. But for that one, man, I wish that I could just like bottle that up and take that with me for every book so it comes as easy because that one was
Mm.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting to hear about your writing process because it does seem like you are kind of plot first and as you outline, and that you're constantly going back and adding more intricacies and layers to your plot as you edit. But it's like and you said you find characters sometimes later after, and it's so interesting because I think this is why this is such a hit for Kristen and I. Like
Mhm.
Kristen and I do have other stories that we overlap on in taste, but often I'll have like the things I really like and she'll have the things she really likes. And I think in this, like Kristen loves an efficient, intricate plot. And she's got that here. I love really like strong themes and really layered, nuanced characters that I feel like are real or they're part of like a memory I have or something. And I feel like those are here. And then, of course, Kristen and I are both obsessed with your setting. So
Oh,
it's like, and we feel like it's so visual, Adalyn. Like you, I want to see
it's
the
real.
movie, I want to see the trailers, I want to see the paintings, like I want to hear
Oh,
the music, like I can see all of it. And so it's like you just kind of I think you just nailed every
yeah.
single aspect readers are looking for. So that's why it's so easy to recommend it to like lots of
Literally
different
everyone.
readers. Yeah, who look for different things because you really really nailed it. So I have every hope in what you're working on now that
Yeah.
like I know that I know that you can nail every aspect and that you care about every aspect. So it's like maybe parts will just come sooner than others. Maybe we're just waiting on some parts to hit.
It just takes, yeah, it's so different for every book. And I think I forget that, especially when I've spent so long in this world and I'm still mentally, part of me is still in this world. Like, I'm not done with this world yet. So I'm still very much there. But then you have to like build a whole new world with new rules and new characters that has to
Yep.
feel different. So it just takes a while. And I know it will get there, but it's just like certain pieces come so much more easily for
Mm.
some books, which is really trippy.
Mhm.
Like some books too, like Belladonna, I wrote it usually like late afternoon to night with the window open as it like the sun was setting. And then with other books, it's like I have to be written first thing in the morning. Like it's weird how much each one demands different things.
Yeah, like the art is like bossing you around a little bit. That's
Yeah,
really
it's so rude.
interesting. I'm curious about your duology that we haven't read as we're just wrapping up writing about or talking about your writing process is do you I would say that as a fantasy writer, you include magic more in your setting, whereas like your characters aren't like wielding magic so much. It's more like it's just like rules of the world are magical.
Mhm.
Do you think that that is kind of a signature of your style, or in your other series, do you have more like magic wielders or magic
Yeah.
users?
The first one is magic wielders.
Okay.
So, but it's also the setting is very important. The setting for All the Stars and Teeth is 7 different islands, and it's like all one big kingdom, and each island has its own set of magic. So it's and kind of like its own little culture and stuff like that. So yeah, there's more hardcore magic wielders, like elemental magic wielders, and then there's ones that are like a little shifted back, like people who can like shapeshift and stuff where it's not quite as physical visual.
Gotcha.
So I don't know that that's the signature of my style, but I feel like setting I feel like I'm pretty known for setting at this point, which I have to, really fix in the Wretched Divine. So
I wonder, like, what is a setting that you're obsessed with reading personally?
hmm, that's a great question. I'm gonna look at my bookshelf as I think about this. Because there's so many. I have really
Right.
been into, Brandon Sanderson recently, like Trust in the Emerald Sea and,
Mm,
the Stormlight Chronicles, Mistborn. I really love all of those settings and all of those worlds. I think he's excellent at world building. Um,
absolutely.
I'm obsessed with I'm obsessed with the world of Pokemon, you guys. I
No.
never stop thinking about the world of Pokemon.
That's clowning.
Oh, what else? What else? I really loved Daughter of Smoke and Bone. That setting, that felt
I
like,
was
Oh,
just told to read that yesterday.
is that written
oh,
by Laini Taylor?
yes. If
Okay,
you haven't read that,
Kristen
you
is
should
a
read that.
huge fan of her Muse of Nightmares.
Yeah, Strange the
Ooh,
Strange the
Dreamer.
okay.
Dreamer.
Okay,
That's
you
a
have to
great
read.
setting.
Yeah, you got to read Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. What makes I know you're obviously a big reader as well as an amazing writer. What makes a perfect book for you? What kind of characteristics literally make it a 5 or infinity star for you?
Yeah, I think especially coming from the writer side of it, it's reading great characters and knowing that that is what I have to focus on really hard to create. Like every writer has a weakness, you know. I don't know that characters are my weakness, but I think the initial development of them I am weaker at. It takes me longer. That is one thing that doesn't come as naturally to me. And I have to work really hard to develop those. So when I read books with super strong characters where you can take them out of that world and put them in a different world and they are the exact same person and you can see how they would mess with that world. I love that. I feel like those are the stories I tend to love the most with those characters who are just outstanding.
So characters are the number one category that can make or break a book for you.
Yes, I think that they are hands down the most important part of any story. If you don't have a good character, cool, you have a good setting, but it's not as gripping. You could have a cool
No.
plot, you could have a cool setting, you have to have that character spearheading it all.
Yes.
To something you said made me think that I've never thought about how a character's strength would be that you could put them in any setting and they would be consistent and they would be interesting to read about in any setting. I've never thought about that. I've always characters are so important to me, but to me it's about characters that uh, are multidimensional, so you don't know them, you can't predict them unless you spend time
Mm-hmm.
with them, so then you're motivated to spend all of this time with them and see how they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna behave.
Well,
um,
you're always motivated to spend a lot of time with characters because you only super long series, you psychopath.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I hadn't thought about that, so now I'm running some of my favorite characters through that
Yeah, she's going to be thinking about it
lens
for
of
24 hours.
wait, so could you pick them up and put them somewhere else? And
Kaz Brecker.
you
He'd be interesting
were
everywhere.
saying that you're loving Brandon Sanderson. I think that's a fun thing that he does in his Cosmere is there are certain characters that
Mm-hmm.
cameo in different worlds and different
Mm-hmm.
settings. So maybe he's playing with that a bit too.
Maybe. I mean, it's so interesting to hear that you're reading Brandon. I don't know why. I'm trying to think what I thought you were reading. I love Brandon Sanderson too. And Tress was a 5-star for me last year. Such a good time. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Have you read that one yet?
That one's on my list. I've not read that one yet. I'm finishing up the Stormlight Archive right now. I'm on book 4.
Oh, you go, girl.
I just read Wind and Truth. Yeah, that one is that I think showcases Brandon Sanderson's scope of world building.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just puts him in another stratosphere or something.
I think he
He's
does live in a
fantastic.
different stratosphere.
I think he
I think he
must.
does.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy.
Okay, so we've mentioned some Brandon Sanderson, and you've told us what you look for in a book. So, what are some of these books that have standout characters for you? Just if you were going to give us your top 3 list right now, favorite books, what are they? I know that's so hard.
I mean, one of them is one of my current favorites because I am always rotating.
Sure.
They don't. I can't say that I have a hands down favorite book or a favorite character. It's what am I into at this moment?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're always rotating. Right now, Shallan is one of my favorite characters. I
Okay.
really like Shallan from Stormlight Archives. And then it's just I watch a lot of anime and read a lot of webtoons and stuff. One of my favorite characters, hands down ever, is Anya from Spy Family. I think she's the funniest character.
I
We're
need
gonna
to
have
Google
to
this.
Google this after the show because we don't know who you're talking
Oh
about, but we
my
have to look
gosh.
it up.
You guys, you have to watch that or read it. And then there's also a webtoon. I'm not answering my favorite character for this one. This is just a recommendation for you guys.
I love
Okay.
it.
On webtoons, there's something called The Mafia Nanny.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And the little kid in it, because obviously she's a nanny for this guy who's in the mafia. The little kid is so funny, and he just wants to like join the mafia and be like his dad. So I highly recommend that.
Okay.
What else?
We've got to try that.
I do like what you said. I love Kaz Brecker. Oh my gosh, I love Jem from
From
uh
Infernal Devices.
Infernal Devices.
Oh,
I
that
love
boy.
Jem. I love Tessa. They're
Kristen
just
has
constantly
got to
rotating.
read Infernal Devices
It
ASAP.
is the next. I just softy eneffed a YA series in a loving way, and I'm like so happy about it because I'm like, that means I can read Infernal Devices. Let's go. I'm
It
so
needs to
ready.
happen. That's one of those series that just like still slaps so hard. Like it just doesn't matter that it's like 10, 15 years old. Like it's so
It's just
good.
still good.
Okay, wait, we do have to just take a little, because I think we have a little bit of time here. I have to take a little tangent for Shallan. I would love
Okay.
for, like, from your artist perspective as a writer, sell Shallan to me, because she is the character I struggle the most with in the Stormlight Archive. But I don't know if it's because she doesn't have a very prominent role in book one, and I did switch to audiobook I think around book 3, and I don't
Okay.
love the reader for her, so I don't know if that's making a
Oh, interesting.
difference.
See, I listen to the audiobooks and I still like her. So I
Okay.
don't know, you might just not like her.
Okay.
Um, you're not alone.
Okay.
My fiance is also, I mean, I haven't caught up with him recently about it, but last time we talked about it, he also, that's not his favorite character. I don't know. I think that she's very she's very tenacious. I think she's very funny.
Yes.
The scene with the shoes, without spoiling anything, the scene with the shoes
Yes.
I thought was hilarious. I think that she's also really smart. She's really talented artistically. And I think that she has the interest there in I don't want to spoil too much, but like her ability that starts to come out in like book 3, I think, and kind of how it ties into her development as a character and her struggles as a character, I think is really cleverly done.
Yes, I
But
agree.
it's really hard to talk about all of that
All
and
of it.
about her without spoiling like the key parts
Right.
of
I
character.
hadn't given Brandon enough credit for that, because I do think in his magic systems he does really well of attaching the way that a character uses magic to their inner struggle, or like to
Mhm,
their thematic character development. He does that really well, because I think he also does that with Dalinar and Kaladin. But I was just curious. I really enjoyed Shallan in Words of Radiance book 2. She wasn't very
mhm.
present in book 1. And then yeah, I switched to audio in books 3 and 4, and I think she just something about her just started to really wear
Also,
me out.
you are so silly for this, but you don't always like really humorous people. Like you like a real serious person. Like I take you seriously. And
Mm.
like I live for the giggle characters.
She definitely is more like comic relief in the series.
Heck
That's
yeah.
true. That's
Heck
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of like in a different vein, but your books have become like a book talk darling. Like people are obsessed. Did you expect this? And like, why do you think that is that everybody just likes it so much? Like they're obsessed.
And booktube, it is like a
Yeah.
social media darling. Like I think it just like keeps coming up in people's favorites videos, every single time you put out a new book.
I love that, and it's so funny because like when I think of I've gotten this question a couple times, but like when I think of the book talk darlings, I think of like Quicksilver and what's the first one of Ruthless Vows?
Divine Rivals.
Divine Rivals. I think of Divine Rivals. I think of like Fourth Wing, those ones who have blown up, like just like skyrocketed. And I don't know if my algorithm is just mean to me and doesn't show me when people are like saying nice things about my book, because
Oh.
I don't see it a lot. But like I've gotten this question a couple times, so clearly like other people are seeing things. It's probably really cool. I wish that my algorithm showed me. But no, I mean, it's like TikTok has really changed, and Instagram and BookTok has really kind of changed the game for publishing. And it's, it's made reading cool again. It's made reading fantasy cool again. And most importantly, it's made reading romantic fantasy by women authors cool again.
Mm.
And it's wild on the publishing side of things where, men used to be the ones to have the well-known fantasy books. And now kind of like, unless you're a Brandon Sanderson, publishing is really seeking out and paying a lot of money to these women fantasy authors for the first time. And they're getting kind of like their justice for the first time. And that is the coolest thing out of all of this. It was kind of scary for, the single day that TikTok was down.
What?
And everyone was like, "Oh, it's gone forever." And they were wondering how Barnes& and Noble was going to survive.
Oh my
And then,
gosh.
it's just a political stunt. That's stupid. But it's really kind of changed the game for everything. And you never know either when a book is going to take off. Like people whose books have come out 20 years ago, like that book can suddenly blow up at any minute. And then suddenly they're going to be able to write a sequel that they always wanted to, but were never able to because they didn't have the audience.
Mm.
And it just changes people's career in an instant. So it's always kind of like the secret goal. Like you really want Book Talk to like your book, but also there's nothing you can really do to push that because it has to be very organic.
Yeah.
I see a lot of authors like on TikTok, and sometimes it works. Like if you're a Chloe Gong and you have that ability to like be on there and do an awesome job at it, good for you. Most of us do not have that. So it comes off very like desperate when we're on there, like read my book, read my book. And it can't, like, that doesn't do anything. It has to come from the readers. And when it comes from the readers, that's kind of how it has that like organic bloom.
Mm.
So, I'm crossing all my fingers for Wretched, crossing all my fingers that people continue to love Belladonna and that it
Yeah.
stays on there forever.
Oh, I have every confidence that it will. I think part of this is just my own theorizing about what ends up being book talk darlings. But even of the ones that you mentioned, I haven't read Quicksilver, but like Fourth Wing or Divine Rivals, I really think that quotable books that just have like beautiful lines that kind of, you don't have to have read the book to just like, oh, that line is so juicy. That's such a beautiful piece of prose. People love to put those on Book Talk. I think also if you have a very atmospheric or visual book, Divine Rivals is also like this, and
Mhm.
you can make those beautiful like picture reels and like put
Yeah.
a beautiful song to it, and it's like you're there like for 30 seconds, you are there in that world. Fourth Wing is like that too because it's very visual, and there's the school and the dragons and everything. I just think those stories lend themselves to this visual medium that we love, where we want to see these beautiful quotes and we want to see these beautiful pictures and have it set to music. And so I think your stories, because of the way you write, I think they're always
Mm.
going to lend themselves to being promoted in this way. Did
Thank
your
you.
Oh yeah, did your publishers work that into your marketing at all? Like were they trying to target Book Talk at all?
No, Book Talk, when Belladonna came out, it wasn't what it is. Like it wasn't what it is now. It really, like, the timing for Belladonna was wild. It was kind of like when I sold it, COVID had just happened and publishers were really scared of, are they going to still exist? How are bookstores going to do? Like, what is post COVID going to look like? Um, and then it really wasn't until like, I kind of think COVID started the TikTok boom,
Okay.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't until after Belladonna came out, I think that, or like right as it was about to come out, that Book Talk really started to have a moment and be kind of this important thing. And publishing is notoriously behind, you guys.
Oh
They
no.
still, bless their hearts, they still don't know how to incorporate TikTok.
Yeah.
They still don't know. Like we have one publisher, I think it's Penguin, that like when they share a book on TikTok, they actually have like the TikTok shop where the book is available as well. Like their publishing entity has their books on TikTok. Only one publisher, you guys. Like
Wow.
Really?
doesn't seem like that should be that hard to figure out when you're this big business that if you share something and you have it linked to your video, especially when it's something like TikTok, which its whole thing right now is like to sell products and everything is sponsored. Like, they just can't really. It takes them a long time. So by
Okay.
Oh
the
my
time they start to figure it out, we're going to be on a social, like a different social media platform.
Right.
So no, it's not a thing. It's very much like if you see authors on there, I do know publishers who have asked their authors to be on there, but they don't give content ideas really or anything. It's all the author.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
I just want like good books to get out there,
Me too.
right? Like I'm sure you
Mhm.
feel that way too. It's like as an author, as people who are heavy readers, we just want like really good quality books out there. And sometimes it does feel like, I don't know, like maybe they're being counterproductive. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. The more we were so ignorant about the publishing industry before we had a platform, and I think what we're learning over the last probably like 6 to 9 months is it's just like so much for you, the authors, of selling your book has to do with selling it to your publisher. And then the publisher gives you this deal and they put the marketing money behind it basically to get bookstores to buy enough copies of it that they're motivated to put it on end caps and show tables. And in that whole funnel, that whole process, no one is incentivizing readers to make it the thing they talk about,
Right.
Mhm.
and to spread it as grassroots. And so it's interesting to see indie authors who
Right.
have none of that budget. They're going directly to readers and being like, how can I get 10 readers to talk about this at the same time and move it to the
Mhm.
top of their TBR? And our friend Tom Weaver, who happens to have just signed with Penguin, so maybe that's why, but he indie published first, came directly to us and promoted his book. His book became an Amazon bestseller as an indie book, and then he sold the rights, which was always his goal, sold it to Penguin. And now, because he's come from that side of it, he's like, and you're going to do this for marketing, and you're going to do this for marketing, and you're going to do this for
These are the
marketing.
influencers I want. These are the people I want talking about my book. It's like,
Because he's just seen from the other side. He's like, it doesn't really matter if the bookstores put this on end caps if readers aren't talking about it. So it's just,
Mhm.
it's so interesting. We've just, our eyes have just been open to this challenge that you are all facing. Like, none of you are
Yeah.
salespeople, you're creatives, you're writers. Like, you don't want to have to spend half your creative time selling your thing.
Well, it's constantly changing too. It's the hard thing. So like bookstores like Barnes and Noble now cannot, like a publisher does not have as easy of a time being like, this is our big book, you're going to take 20 copies of this. Barnes and Noble has way more say. So like they're going to decide how many books that they want to take, and they are, them and Target recently are very much like looking at covers early on and being like, we don't like this, change this. And then like we're
oh,
having to accommodate all these different things. And yes, in the beginning of TikTok, I mean, still now we can say, hey, we want this influencer to like read our book, send it to them. That's very common. But it was easier in the early days of Book Talk when it was a little bit less monetized, because now everything that these big influencers are reading and promoting, it doesn't feel organic anymore. And people aren't
mm,
picking up the book the same way because they're seeing that that influencer has a sponsorship and they're getting paid for this, and it's not really a book that they like, and they're learning that all these books that they promote, they don't really care. So some of them do,
Or even read them.
or even read them. But there's this huge monetized element now that is taking so much of the organicness away, where I
mm,
feel like a lot of times, especially the influencer side of things, it's losing its appeal. So now TikTok is going to have to be like changing to where all these like random accounts, if they're talking about your book and they're like doing the grassroots discussions and stuff, that is actually way more helpful
yep,
than an influencer picking
yeah,
up the book, because it just doesn't feel organic anymore.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think that Instagram got there before TikTok did. I
Yeah.
think that's really been the case with like Bookstagram for a long time. So that's so interesting. Okay, so in having your book blow up,
yay.
what have some of the
Yay.
like pinch me moments been? Either recently or like even in the beginning, like when you first saw Belladonna was picking up, like what were those moments that you're like, oh my God, this is happening?
Kind of all of it. Like the amount of fan art that the series gets, I feel like is astounding. The fact that like there's this composer, her name's Lindsay Dills. She has written songs compose songs for the series that's on Spotify. That's super cool. People have come and cosplay to events and have spent like hours of their life designing these dresses from scratch.
Oh, if I was going to cosplay, I think I would have to cosplay Belladonna.
Oh my gosh, it'd be
Yes.
so
Oh
fun.
my
We have
God,
to
it'd be
do
so
it.
fun.
I think it's just anything like that is astounding. The tour moments where like, early on events, people are there. They're not really sure who you are, and it's a small amount of people, still great events. But like then I go to an event now and it's 200 plus people staring back at me. That's astounding. The fact that it hit multiple times on the number one, wild. So
Crazy.
it's back to back. The fact that I got to write Wisteria, and then because I sold Belladonna as a standalone. So and then Foxglove was like easy to sell kind of because Belladonna had a lot of hype. But for Wisteria, my publishing team didn't know how Belladonna was going to do yet. So it was very much because of readers showing up for it that I got to write that. And then Holly, which I just got the interiors like revised sketches for Holly yesterday. And it is the most beautiful book I think that will ever sit on my shelf. It is stunning.
We
And
are
that is only,
salivating for that book.
oh my gosh, you guys, it's so pretty. I cannot wait to share who the artist is. We're gonna share it soon, but like that is only happening and it's only as pretty as it is because of readers. Like that stuff doesn't happen. Your publisher isn't just like, yeah, we're going to spend thousands of dollars hiring a popular artist for no reason. Like it has to come from the readership behind a book. So it's moments like that where it's like I have this idea in my head and I've had it for a while and I never thought that I would get to write Holly because I didn't think that there was an audience for a Christmas novella until Spectacular came out. And then it's like, oh, I think I can do that too. And I think that my publishing team might like finally agree to that because people are reading this series. So it's stuff like that where it's I actually get to write the story that's in my head, which doesn't always happen. Like for Stars and Teeth, I saw that as a trilogy. It never got to be a trilogy. And sometimes it's just publishing controls that and is there a market or not, and that series is much more YA and it came out during COVID, so it never got to happen. But for Belladonna to then find its readership, and I'm continuing to get to play in that world and continuing to write the ideas that I have for this world, that's like the coolest part.
I
And
can't imagine.
It begs for a Christmas novella
Oh.
because, like, I don't know about you, but like my Christmas Pinterest board is just Victorian Gothic Christmas. That is like my whole jam for Christmas. So I'm like, this absolutely needs to happen. The visuals will be so stunning.
We just are so excited for you to keep writing. I mean, I honestly don't know how old you are, but you look young enough that I'm like, please
We can
give
have
us all the years of
least
books.
20 more novels.
Yeah, we need
Yes.
them all. But also, I'm excited to see how you evolve and like what you expand into. So I know you are writing something else right now. We have Holly to look forward to. When can people get Holly?
Holly is you can pre-order it now, but it's out September 30th.
Okay.
And again, it is the most stunning book in the series. Like from the end pages to the illustrations to the border around the text to the hardcover case, like everything is so well designed and so just absolutely perfect. Yeah, I cannot wait for that book.
Okay, I need to pre-order as soon as this is over.
Pre-ordering
As soon as
immediately.
it's over.
I am so glad that you got to write Wisteria, by the way. I just wanted to put that
Yeah,
in when you said
me
that was a
too.
pinch me moment because
That might be my
it's
favorite.
really hard for me to choose
Mhm.
because I love aspects of all of them. And for a while, I really did think Foxglove was my favorite. But now that I sat with all three for a while, like I think Wisteria is my favorite.
Mhm.
Maybe Belladonna. I don't know. But I love Wisteria. I would
You
be
just named
so
all of them.
sad if Wisteria didn't exist. I
know.
love it so much. I love how you got to play with setting in Wisteria. I don't want to give any spoilers, but the way you were able to play with the setting was so magical. Like I don't think I've had that much magical fun reading in so long. And we were traveling while I read it and I just felt like I was in a fairy tale.
She
It
was
was
vibing.
everything. It was everything to
Thank
me.
you.
So, the book that you're currently writing, can you tell us anything about it? Can you tell our listeners like what they have to look forward to from you?
Yeah, okay. I haven't talked about this one much. So my like pitch for it. It might be a little rusty. But basically, it's called The Wretched Divine. It is my first adult book. And there is nothing that I love more than love triangles. So this is my hard love triangle book between a female knight who is like thrust into this ancient war between demons and angels. So it is kind of like a medieval setting. There, people in this world cannot have magic. Demons have magic and angels have magic. And the only way for a human to be able to have magic is to make a bond with a demon or an angel. Angels do not usually make bonds. They only make it with like one family who protects the royals. And then demons, it's illegal. They love to make bonds. It's like a being bonded to a human is like a battery for them. And then the human is able to access their magic, but this is an illegal thing. They're not supposed to do it. Of course, bonds happen.
Of course. I'm sorry. Does a human bond both an angel and a demon? Is
She
this
might.
the triangle?
I need this right now.
She is the one who is tasked with protecting the royal family, so her bond with an angel has been expected of her forever. And there may or may not be reasons that a demon comes into play as well.
Yes.
I am obsessed already. I am feral.
Okay, what else? Maddie, be quiet. Anything else you want to give us?
It's been really fun. It's multiple points of view. It is my biggest book, definitely. It is. I'm still working on it, but it's chunky.
Okay.
It's definitely higher fantasy than Belladonna. There's a lot more action and fight scenes and traveling, but it still has. It's kind of like a mix, I think, of like my two series. Stars and Teeth has a lot of sword fights and action and traveling, but it's more YA. And then Belladonna has like the deities and the big powerful beings with all the magic. So this is kind of like and the historical setting too. And this is like meshing everything
Nice.
together. It's been really fun. I can't say too much about it, but the bonds, if one person dies, that like your bonded dies too. Like you are locked. This is like a soul bond. So it creates some really fun dynamics.
High
I
stakes.
love this so much.
Oh, so I know you're like currently writing it, but like, has anybody given you a deadline so we know when?
Yeah, I'm past my deadline actually. By several months. Yeah, I'm supposed to get. I sent in the first like probably 75% of it a couple weeks ago, and I get edits back on that on Wednesday. So I'll get my like timeline and stuff, but it will come out next year, probably around like late summer or fall.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get Holly this year, and then we can anticipate a
The
whole new
Wretched
series.
Divine.
Well, is it going to be a standalone, or are you making this into
No.
a series?
Oh,
Yeah, it's at least a trilogy. I've sold 3 books.
Okay, girl.
So it's at least a trilogy. We haven't had arcs for any of my books since Belladonna. So we're going to have arcs for this book. So
Dear God.
what
those
do
will
we
be
have to
coming
do?
soon.
Who do we need to talk to be on that list?
It's just, I think you could just send me an email
Okay.
and I'll forward it along.
Just send us the Word document. It's fine.
That is so exciting. I'm so pumped for you. You already sold a trilogy
Yes,
again.
and what makes me so excited about this, Adalyn, is because you are a outliner. And to me, I just am like, I know she's going to earn those pages.
We trust you.
We trust that like you sold a trilogy, and so you're going to tell a story that warrants a trilogy's worth of telling, and you're not just going to bloat this to make it.
Are you just affirming this because we hate so much?
I just,
people
you know,
don't
when
even-
people sell a certain number of books and then they're just trying to fill those pages. I mean, maybe that's just us that noticed that, but it's just like, hang on.
No, I feel like with the love triangles too, like a trilogy lends itself really well to a love triangle.
Yes,
that's
So
true.
I'm very excited for it. And it's nice because, you know, with the Belladonna series, I sold each book individually. I was like, hey, you want another one? Hey, you want another one? Please? Another one? With this one, I was like, you know, I think we'll start with 3. And they're like, yeah, 3.
we trust you.
Yeah, they trust you now. They're like,
You've earned
Adalyn
it.
Grace, you got it. You just tell us what you want.
My only request with the love triangle, and because
Maddie.
you know Cassandra Clare's writing so well, it's like the way in. I already trust you because I kind of
'Cause
thought
you
you
already-
were going love triangle-y with Belladonna.
That's true.
And it had that flavor for a second, and I was eating up every minute of
Nom, nom,
it.
nom, 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 nom.
So I already know you could pull this off, but I think what it takes to pull off a great love triangle is, as the reader, you really have to be torn which one you want the character to be with. Like, you have to want
Both.
You want it to be a why choose situation at some point. You want to be like,
Yep.
maybe why not both? Like, it has to kind of break your heart a little bit when she finally chooses. It has to feel right, but it also has to break your heart.
Yeah, I think like what the Cassandra Clare, what Infernal Devices did so well was those boys have an attachment. Like,
They're
they
besties.
are brothers, they're best friends, they love each other. And I feel like when that's kind of missing from a love triangle, like where the two competing ones don't have that connection, is kind of where it can fall a little flat. So I'm trying to be careful with it.
You can do this. We believe in you.
We believe in you so much. This is so exciting.
I'm so grateful, excited, and ecstatic that we got you on our podcast. This is a total dream come true for us, but like, not to be super cheesy, but like, I really wanted to do this one. Maddie sets up lots of interviews, and I was like, I want to do Adalyn freaking Grace. And she was like, yeah, I do too. Let's do this. So thank you for doing that for us. Thank you for sharing for all of our listeners about your new books coming. And if anybody listening has not read Belladonna, hopefully by the end of this, you are literally running, adding to cart right away to read this series. Look forward to Holly. And Adalyn, would you tell everybody where they can find you on social media to stay up to date, see cool art? I follow you, so I see you put all kinds of fun stuff on there.
Yeah, I post on Instagram the most. I allegedly have a TikTok account. It's pretty much just me sharing the things I already post on my Instagram.
Okay.
So follow me there. I think it's author Adalyn Grace. If you look up Adalyn Grace, I'm pretty much the only one. So you can find me there. But yeah, thanks so much for this was a ton of fun. And it's nice to talk about like the Wretched Divine too, because I'm in the trenches with it. So it's nice.
Oh, we are cheering you on. If you ever are just like, gosh, I just need to get there, we'll just be like, you're amazing. This is going to be the
I
best
think
thing
I want to
ever.
like bottle you guys up and just like put you here. And then you can be like, yeah, you're so good at setting. Yeah, you're so good at characters.
Just know we are like waiting
We are doing
with
that.
bated breath. You will be on our like highly anticipated coming out
Yeah.
this year lists. Like,
Yeah.
everybody get ready for Wretched Divine. I also love that title, especially after you've just
Yeah.
given us the
Thank
premise.
you.
That's a very fun title.
No, it's going to be bomb. I know you said you sometimes watch videos that you're in. I may or may not be editing a video I'm posting today that your series is in my top 10 favorite series of all time.
Yay!
I just
Thank
love it so
you.
much. We think you're great. And everybody who's listening, leave a comment, subscribe, definitely like rate and review if you can. It helps us get great authors like this on our channel, which is like the coolest thing
dream.
ever.
It's why we do what we do. Yes.
Yeah. And everybody have a good day. Thank you so much, Adalyn.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.